My name is Bernadine Joselyn. I'm with Blaney Foundation. It's my privilege to pick up the torch from Bill Coleman and keep going. I almost feel like I should go home. I learned so much in that pre-conference session. I'm thinking, what is there left for us to learn and say? But there is a lot left for us to do and say, but I do want to acknowledge Bill's wonderful presentation, and thanks to those of you who came for the pre-conference session. When we were planning the conference, we thought, do we want to do a Broadband 101 was our shorthand for it? And are we still having that conversation in the state? And I was pretty skeptical, but 40 people signed up for Bill's session, and so that was a lot of learning right there. And again, thanks to those of you who came, and it was a very contentful session. But we have a lot ahead, and I am just delighted on behalf of the 25 organizations who joined Blaney Foundation in sponsoring our conference today in Toronto to welcome you here today. We've worked really hard to put together what I hope will be a very stimulating and fun agenda. It's action-packed, stuffed and studded with lots of very smart and good-looking people, and we want you to feel tomorrow when you leave that you were glad you came. Begin with the end in mind, a dear colleague of mine used to say. And so I did want to pause just a moment and say a word about the purpose of being here together. Why are we here? Why have you come on this cold February Tuesday afternoon? In a word, I think that all of us in this room share the goal of accelerating progress towards our goal of border-to-border broadband in the state of Minnesota. That's why we've called this a Call to Action Conference. As we're about to hear today and tomorrow, our regional leaders, our community champions out there in Main Street already understand that broadband is the indispensable infrastructure of our age. But you know, as my parents used to tell me, without action, awareness and understanding is the booby prize. So what if you get it and you don't do anything about it? Minnesota needs a clear set of policies, strategies, programs, and funding, followed by action from both the private and the public sectors to ensure that affordable, high-speed broadband access is available to all of our residents, our businesses, and our communities. Minnesota has goals as well on adoption and utilization, which is very commendable. To meet these goals, we also need leadership at all levels and in all sectors to ensure that all Minnesotans have the necessary skills to make effective use of technology tools. Everything from running a business to applying for a job to accessing health care, education, government service. It's a long litany of everything that we do and care about in Minnesota today is better with broadband. So that's the shared challenge that brings us here today, our call to action for border-to-border broadband in Minnesota. Now here's the good news, and I firmly believe this. I'm looking around the room. We have the leadership here today at this conference that we need to get this done. We do. Together we can make the difference in our communities and statewide to bring border-to-border broadband in Minnesota. So let's get that done. Thank you for coming, for adding your voice and your shoulder to this common purpose to make sure that border-to-border broadband and that broadband-enabled future comes true for all of us. So we've got that purpose clearly in mind, call to action. And I'm going to give you a quick preview, a quick taste of what is ahead. In a word, it's a lot, and a lot of different kinds of stuff. We're going to have presentations and panels with legislators and citizens. Tomorrow's keynote address, and I know we're making a big deal about this, but it is going to be a big deal. Bill talked about it. There's the founder and president of Strategic Network Group out of Ottawa, Canada. His name is Michael Curry. He's due to arrive here shortly from Paris via Montreal. And he's going to share with all of us the results of a study that the Blanton Foundation commissioned for this conference to illustrate the returns that Minnesota can expect from increased investment in broadband infrastructure and utilization. Very impressive stuff. Can't wait to share it with you. We're going to have small group discussions, including around the topics that you identify as the conversations that you really want to have and we really need to have together to meet this goal. We're going to have fabulous virtual greetings from both of our senators. They're so good at that. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have 4 simultaneous tracks that are studded with 18, I think, total presentations, and you can mix and match however you like. We've got a whole track on economic development, on digital literacy, on applications, and infrastructure. The details are in your program. There's a lot there, and you can pick and choose as you like. And tonight, after what I'm sure will be a fabulous dinner, we are going to enjoy some improv theater send-up of the broadband conversation here in Minnesota by the Theater of Public Policy. That's going to be a hoot. And last but certainly not least, we're featuring what we've dubbed the Cool Tools Room across the hallway. Go there to see Ann Tracy in her fabulous Google Glass. I think she's got some other wearables to show off. We have some guides, youthful, smart young people that Ann has corralled to be our Beatrices in the 7 rings of technology future. Huan Reddy and Aleta Ruffin are with us to help those baby boomers of us among us through some cool tools. And we have some wonderful exhibitors with us, and we'll get a chance to hear just a little bit more of them over dinner. And then I want to just make sure that you're all aware that we have kind of over my objections. I'm a baby boomer and I like paper, kind of tied to paper. But we have gone to a what do we call it? A QR code. Thank you, Ann. On your program is a QR code, and it's tied to a really rich set of materials that we've assembled for the conference. It includes goodies like, I know there's some participant lists out there. I don't know about you, but I always like to have a participant list with me when who else is here. There are over 125 people registered for the conference. We're delighted. On your tables, again, are lists of the conference sponsors with a little introduction about what their missions are. And again, we're so proud to hold hands with 25 organizations from Arrowhead RDC all the way to West Central Initiative, A to W, that believe in the goals of this conference. And there's some more information on your tables online. In addition to the report from SNG that we'll be unveiling tomorrow, there's also some research that was done by Ann Tracy on lessons from the feasibility studies. Ann is doing a session on that. Some basic information about the grant programs that Blanton Foundation continues to fund to support community-based broadband adoption and awareness efforts are in the Magic Q code box. The Governor's Broadband Task Force report, which was released middle of last month, is available. And some outcomes and lessons learned from the 3-year, $6.5 million ARRA-funded Minnesota Intelligent Rural Community MIRC project that Blanton Foundation was so honored to administer on behalf of the rural communities we serve. So a lot in that QR code, and I commend it to you. And I think with that, I'm just left to do a couple of thanks before I turn the mic over. I wanted to acknowledge, first of all, the Broadband Foundation is so aptly served by a dedicated group of strategy board members who have, for the many years we've been in this work, have guided us. Would strategy board members in the room here please stand up? I know Al Junke's here. I think I saw Nancy Hoffman, Dana, and yes, and Matt himself and Gary. Thank you very much. Please join me in thanking them for their years of service. I also just can't resist the urge to give a special shout out to my dear friend, Minnesota's own son of broadband, Jack Geller, who's with us. Jack has, thank you, he's recently left the good state of Minnesota to go down to Florida, Tampa, Florida, where he's a dean, but so good to have you with us, Jack. Everything I haven't learned yet about broadband is thanks to you. And I also want to thank our fabulous conference planners and staff who are here to help answer any questions you might have and make sure you have a good experience.